Good morning, folks. How are you doing? Today is the 7th day of June 2024. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, almost straight up 8 o'clock in the morning in nice, clear, sunny Tampa, Florida. Couple of things to talk about this morning. Just some kind of basic news. We're going to work from the new president of Mexico through the Biden's peace plan deal, which wasn't ever a peace plan deal. It was a PR stunt, and we'll end up with Kyle Kalinske talking about RFK Jr. And he gets it right almost entirely in terms of I don't know if he ever was on board the RFK Jr. fucking train when it first rolled out of the station. I'm sure he was, but I don't know. But I never was. I told you it was a stunt to start with, and it certainly is. So, but he does get it right, so I'll give credit where credit's due. I put a video of his up, about a 12-minute, 13-minute video of his up on my website showing he's talking about, railing about the fucking just deplorable positions that RFK Jr. is taking on when asked about Israel bombing hospitals in Gaza, and how he justifies it by saying human shields. And to him, that makes perfect sense. There's 26 hospitals have been destroyed and no longer in service. And as Kyle Kalinske rightly points out, the propagandists in Israel and the United States, they only bothered to pretend to set up, proof that Hamas was using them as, intelligence centers, as planning war centers, by throwing 3 fucking backpacks randomly in different rooms. And then, of course, taking reporters in to see the rooms where the 3 backpacks were taken. Kyle doesn't mention the fact that there also happened to be brand new fucking gaffer tape over top of the fucking security cameras. So, of course, there'd be no record of IDF guys coming in with carrying those same 3 fucking backpacks. But he does call it out. He does say it's bullshit. And it is bullshit. And the fact that the IDF doesn't even need to bother anymore because they have the one that fucking sycophants and sellouts and collaborators like RFK Jr. Can use to say, see, it's proof. There's the proof. He literally said, we got to blame the Palestinians for what Israel's doing. We got to blame the Palestinians. Blame the fucking victim. Which, by the way, if Kyle had been on his mark, he would have immediately said, and that's kind of what fucking RFK Jr. did back when they killed his fucking wife, who was in the process of filing for divorce. She was going to get the kids. She was going to get a good alimony payment. And she was going to get good child support. But she decided to kill herself instead. And then, of course, he ran around blaming the victim, saying she was an alcoholic, she was a drunk, she was this, she was that. All of his fucking diary entries in the fucking little red book where he kept, a score of his conquests. I'm going to give him 5-star ratings or 4-star ratings and talk about how he stuck his penis in them. These are 21-year-old, 22-year-old girls, by the way. Had a whole fucking little red book of them, which she found, which is why she wanted a divorce. He repeatedly talked about how much he loved his wife and how perfect she was. He didn't deserve her and all this stuff. And he decides to blame the victim. This is a pattern for him. He is a piece of shit. I told you this from day one. He is a piece of fucking shit. And Kyle also points out his testosterone replacement therapy fucking program so he can get all nice and cut at 69. Make it easier for him to fuck 21-year-olds and 22-year-olds in service to his, as RFK Jr. put it, lust demons. Kyle asks, I guess we're talking about Kyle first. Kyle asked in his video, he can't figure out why he's such a neocon. Why he's such an abject neocon. When it comes to fucking Israel, Israel is okay doing whatever the fuck they want to do. They could literally do videos of IDF soldiers with a bunch of these little fucking rabid bullshit fucking inbred piece of shit Zionist settler kids standing around a circle, gang raping fucking Palestinian children. And he would justify it. And he would blame Palestinians for it. I mean, and Kyle doesn't understand. Kyle can't figure it out. What the hell? He does mention, there were times when, back in the day, when people, ask him such questions about his, the fact that he was really worried at the beginning of this year when that list was coming out on who was fucking taking flights on the Lolita Express. So he decided to get out ahead of it. And he offered up his own fucking history on the Lolita Express. He says he took 2 trips. He took 4, actually, but they were there and back. Both times he took his kids. Only once he took his wife. You wonder what they've got on him? You think Epstein's dead? Epstein ain't dead. Epstein's files are still in use today. If you want to know why so many people, so many businesses, so much... Listen, you think to yourself, this is all just about Zionism and all these people, all these businesses, all these leaders of these corporations and these networks and these alt media companies. They all just happen to fucking love the Zionists because the AIPAC has so much influence. Bullshit. Jeffrey Epstein and his girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, were fucking Mossad assets, as per her daddy, as per Wexler. And no one has done more or more solid work on that than Whitney Webb. Strongly recommend you go look at her stuff. Strongly recommend you go look at her stuff. And RFK Jr. is caught up in the middle of all that shit. Bernie isn't, but Bernie is still a fucking Zionist. But he has to, tread carefully. He's not going to be around when fucking Netanyahu does his little visit. I think it's on the 25th of July. Interestingly enough, that visit tells you, the date of that visit tells you something. It tells you they fully expect him to still be prime minister, which means the war will be continuing until at least the 25th of July. This is June 7th. Whatever RFK Jr. and his lust demons, his words, did back in the 90s on the Lolita Express, it's got to be something really out there for him to be behaving the way he is. Because the fact that he just happened to say something, about China and the Ashkenazi Jews and COVID-19 doesn't cut it now, not at this point. He's literally bending over and dropping his pants and embarrassing himself. Kyle mentioned the fact that his girlfriend or his somebody, I think it's his wife or girlfriend, did a discussion with him in a debate on Gaza and just tore him to a new asshole, made him look like a fucking buffoon. And he is. Listen. Let me just say this. When he gets his points, his PowerPoint presentations all written for him, but by somebody else, and they tell him how to sound like a left-wing populist. They tell him the right fucking, bullet points to hit. He can read those pretty well in front of a camera. He can do that. He's a pure neoliberal. He's on record as saying his solution to global warming, which means he buys into global warming. his solution to global warming is release the power of the free markets. That the only left wing people who say shit like that are Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi. These are the centrist, neoliberal, corporatist, free marketeer fucking left. Okay? And that's where RFK Jr. is. Because of course he's there. Because all of his fucking friends, his family's friends, when he was born on third base with a silver spoon stuck right up his fucking ass, all of them are business owners. They're all billionaires. Or at least multi-millionaires. They're very wealthy. And they're very much invested in the glorious free markets. That is his ideology. That and blaming the victim. He did so with the people in Gaza. And he did so with his own wife when she became problematic for the Kennedy clan. And why was she problematic for the Kennedy clan? Because of her alcoholism and depression? Bullshit. Because he couldn't stop sticking his dick in young fucking interns. Because it made him feel like a man. He is a boy. He is a child. He is a child in a scientifically fucking altered body with a lot of money and a lot of attention being paid to him because of what his father stood for and his uncle stood for. And that is it. That is his contribution to the world. That, and he set up a thing to expose during the fucking COVID psychological operation. He had a good fucking website. But it wasn't his. He didn't do the research. He didn't do the writing. He didn't even post shit. He had young people who believed in him do it for him. And then as soon as he was running for office, he scrubbed 90% of that information off the website. Because it was no longer politically viable for him. Now he blames the Palestinians for the onslaught, for the genocide being conducted by Zionists, covetous Zionists, in Israel and in the U.S. We'll talk about that as well. Let's talk about that first, shall we? Well, no, let's talk about this. Times of Israel asked why Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo did not receive a great deal of support from the Mexican Jewish community. Why is that, they wonder? I'll tell you exactly why that is. Because the Mexican Jewish community doesn't vote they don't think we're told to think down here up here in the States. It's all identity politics. If she has a vagina, you got to vote for her. If she's Jewish, you got to vote for her. If she's black, you got to vote for her, right? It's all identity politics up here. With the Jewish population in Mexico, they voted with their wallet. Because a lot of the Jewish population and the influencers to the Jewish population in Mexico are wealthy business owners. And Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo is a very left-leaning populist in the AMLO tradition. So they didn't really care about her religion. They didn't care about the fact that it was a woman and the potentially historic, when the election was taking place, outcome of having a woman elected president of Mexico for the first time ever. They didn't care about that. They cared about the bottom line. Now, a lot of people are saying because she's Jewish and because at some point in time she stood next to a Zionist and took a picture at some fundraiser. She's been into politics. She was a scientist. If you say her background and who she had a picture taken with, a lot of people have pictures taken with Joe Biden. It doesn't mean that because you take a picture with Joe Biden that they are a fucking Zionist. My uncle, a long time ago, I remember he was heavy into the unions and all this stuff. He was a left-leaner, a Democrat his whole life. Al Kurtzman. Good, solid man. Jewish. Good, solid man. Had a picture of him standing next to Bill Clinton. Does that make him a fucking neocon? Does that make him a fucking centrist Dem? No. Does that mean he never fucking understood who Bill Clinton was and was pissed off about it? Disheartened? No. He did. He understood. Having a picture taken with someone doesn't necessarily mean you're that person. So people are all up in arms about this new president. What do they call her? They call her Doctor-O or Science-O or something because she was a scientist. If you're concerned about her running her tenure as president of Mexico because of in the past she once fucking took a picture with a Zionist and she's Jewish, you should probably be more concerned about her past as a scientist because she was all on board that global warming thing and she actually won, I think, a Nobel Prize or some shit for the work she did relating to global warming. Boom. Okay? That concerns me the most. That concerns me more than anything else. And it concerned me more than anything else in her Jewishness or the fact that she had a picture taken with some Zionist at one point in time. Because, AMLO was he was trying to sit on the fence, but then Mexico jumped on board right before the election, jumped on board with the South African fucking ICJ case, and they signed on to participate in that. So, yeah, AMLO, look, this is Mexico, okay? Things are different in Mexico than they are in France. Things are different in Mexico than they are in Saudi Arabia. Things are different in Mexico than they are in China, in Russia, okay? In Iran, in Nicaragua, for instance. Things are different in Mexico like they're different in Colombia. Why is that? First of all, because there's no Medellin in China. There's no Medellin in fucking Russia. There's no Medellin in fucking Iran. They have the PKK, but we all know what the PKK is, and more importantly, they know what the PKK is, and the PKK have no access. Medellin in Colombia have a lot of access, and they're our terror organization and drug traffickers. In Mexico, it's Sinaloa. Okay? He's got to deal with that. He's got to deal with the possibility, AMLO did, of instant fucking regime change, or even worse than instant regime change, them turning loose the fucking Sinaloa drug cartel to just wreak havoc and kill people, civilians. Because that's what we do. That's how we get what we want. We terrorize leaders of other countries. And if we can't get to them, we're going to kill the civilians as much as possible. Okay? So these little things are different in places like Colombia and Mexico. Just understand that. So sitting on the fence is one thing, but they did sign on to the ICJ fucking hearing our case a couple weeks before the elections. How is she going to work? Let's go back to the thing where you say, oh, well, there's a picture of her with some Zionists, and that means, and because she's Jewish, that means she's going to side with fucking Israel. I'm not entirely sure that's the case. Because of my Jewish origin, because of my love for Mexico, and because I feel like a citizen of the world, I share with millions the desire for justice, equality, fraternity, and peace, and therefore I can only see with horror the images of the state bombings. No reason justifies the murder of Palestinian civilians. Nothing, nothing, nothing can justify the murder of a child. She said that in 2009 as a response to Operation Cast Lead. Nothing, nothing, nothing can justify the murder of a child. She was already into politics, which is why people asked her opinion. She was already in the orbit of fucking AMLO. I don't think that sounds Zionist to me. You say, well, there's a picture, Scott. There's a picture. Pictures speak 1,000 words. How many does that speak? How many does that speak? It's not that long ago. She's wearing a fishnet keffiyeh. So, for folks who are concerned about Claudia Sheinbaum, I get it. I understand. You never know. Mexico can switch this way or that way in a heartbeat. I know that. However, AMLO handpicked her, and I don't think AMLO's going to handpick a fucking Zionist. And though you say, well, the pressure, listen, she was under pressure as the head of Mexico City, the government in Mexico City, which, by the way, is like the vice president, because Mexico City is so fucking big. And because there's so much industry around it, in and around, and the financial sector in Mexico City, if you're the mayor of Mexico City, if you're the head of the government in Mexico City, you're pretty much the vice president of the country. There was pressure on her then, and that is how she responded to it. I don't think anyone becomes really, unless they're born to, handed to this with a silver spoon stuck up their fucking ass, born on third base like George W. Bush. I don't think any random person, any rando coming along and ending up being the head of a fucking nation. I don't care if they're a fucking evil dictator or they were elected. I don't think weak-willed people end up going that route. Again, unless they were born to it, like Liz Cheney or George W. Bush. Okay? I don't think weak-willed people end up in that position. So I have less concern about Claudia Sheinbaum and her presidency with regard to Gaza than I do about her with regard to the World Economic Forum and the global warming scam, and of course the glorious pandemic and the World Health Organization. These are serious concerns I have about her. Okay? Gaza's not one of them. You can always be surprised, but let's talk about this too before we get to the final. Before I end up with RFK Jr. I told you when this happened last week. I said this is not a real fucking peace plan. I said this was a stunt. This was a stunt. There's no way that they expect Hamas to accept it. I told you on Sunday that they had no idea what the hell it was. They saw the fucking video on YouTube of the fucking thing. We've been told since that they have flat out rejected it. They're not going to take it. They are obstacles to peace. And I did a video talking about Matt Miller coming out there saying that their opinion was that this is who they are. They're Hamas. They're evil terrorists. They don't care. They use the people as human shields, holding them up like this, especially the babies. They never gave a copy of this to Hamas. They never did. How are they going to accept it if they don't have a copy of it? And don't say, well, they can't get a copy because they're in Hamas and they're in a tunnel and they're hiding. There are fucking elements outside of Hamas is a legitimate government. They're government. And they're a terror organization. They're government. Which is why Israel wants them gone. We'll talk about that in a second. But they have representatives in Qatar and Oman and places like this, Jordan, Riyadh, which they could give the copies to, and they could get them to people inside Hamas leaders. And there's Hamas leadership is outside the country. They could easily negotiate. They never gave them a copy. Never. I told you that. At the beginning of this week, that they hadn't seen a copy on Sunday. They still haven't seen a copy. It was never about them accepting a deal. Now, the left-leaning or the somewhat less fucking genocidal members of his cabinet are in a position today to resign. I'm sure they're being. How many shekels? How many shekels? How many shekels do you need? How many shekels do you need to stay? How many shares of IBM? How many shares of Microsoft do you need? How many shares of Pfizer? How many? We got plenty here for you. Here you go. Here you go. Make it rain. Make it rain, baby. And they're making it rain on them. So I doubt they're going to actually resign. Even Gantz, I doubt they're actually going to resign because they're making it rain, baby. Or they're showing them videos from fucking Little St. James Island, in which they are the starring, playing in the starring role with some kids. Whatever the case may be. Don't know. However, I told you, they have no intention. It was never about a fucking peace deal. For a week after the so-called Biden peace plan was announced, a week of the U.S. trying to suggest it's Hamas who's the obstacle to peace. Come to find out, the Biden administration never sent them a written copy of the plan to Hamas for them to review. Not once. It was all just a hoax to shift the blame for no deal to the Palestinians after Hamas publicly accepted a deal back in May while Israel rejected it. Once again, that goes right to what fucking RFK Jr. did. Shifted the blame for Israel's actions to somebody fucking else. In this case, shift the blame to Hamas for no peace deal. When, of course, Benjamin Netanyahu's not going to sign a peace deal because as soon as he does and as soon as the conflict's over, they're holding snap elections. They've already said this. And his ass is gone. And as soon as his ass is no longer prime minister, those fucking warrants for his arrest, they become valid. They become active. He's arrested. He's arrested trying to make it in a disguise with suitcases full of fucking U.S. dollars to get to the fucking airport with the private jets waiting for him. And there will be people in Israel who have the utmost interest in making sure he doesn't escape. Because we're 270 days into this shit, 75 days into this shit. And he has no intention of getting those hostages back. Because to get those hostages back, he goes out of power. People tend to get fucking upset about shit like that. And it's obvious. It's the most obvious thing in the world right now. That and the fact that Zelensky's going to be replaced very soon. There's a link here, if you go to my website, on this article. You can go and read the actual statement that Biden made on Friday. This is what he said. I told you this the other day. This was a fucking war crime. First of all, it's a war crime. Them trying to say, Israel can remain in the unpopulated areas. It means they get to steal all the fucking land that they've chased people off of. That's a war crime. That's the first phase. But listen to this. This is what he said. In the first phase, cut some stuff out. Humanitarian assistance would surge with 600 trucks carrying aid into Gaza every single day. And that and more would begin immediately. Immediately. This is what he said on Friday, acknowledging the fact that they've got all these aid trucks and the only thing stopping them from coming in is Israel. That, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is a war crime. That is using starvation as a weapon. That is an admission from the U.S. president that our ally is using starvation as a weapon of war. By the way, there's an interesting article here about, where is it? Did I post up the one on Alex Smith? I don't think I did. We can talk about that. July 24th, not 25th. Alex Smith is a USAID contractor, or was a USAID contractor. Don't get me wrong. You can go look into my stuff on USAID. I know exactly what USAID is. But people, you have to also remember, USAID wouldn't have the ability to do what they do if it was just a bunch of spooks walking around in spy versus spy outfits, okay? With the sunglasses and the dark hat and big wide brim hat, and the spy versus spy. They have to have some people trying to do some good in order for USAID to be effective at what it does. They've got to be able to do something and show something. In this case, this guy named Alex Smith, I don't know him. Maybe he's pure CIA. I don't know him. But Alex Smith was a contractor working for USAID who went into places and he dealt with maternal issues. He dealt with women's health. He dealt with pregnancy, and he dealt with making sure that you were able to get fucking prenatal care and postnatal care in various countries all around the world. Okay? That was his thing. Whether he's CIA or not, I don't know. I don't really give a shit, because this is what happened. He put together a PowerPoint presentation because he was going to give some, they asked him to give some presentation on maternal care and how that program was going for USAID. He put together this PowerPoint presentation, was about to give it, and they reviewed it, and they realized it's all about Gaza. And how, because Israel, with U.S. weapons, has bombed all these maternity clinics, all these maternity wards, all these maternity fucking hospitals, all these hospitals in the first place, and doctors' offices and obstetricians and OBGYN and all these fucking people. It was about how catastrophic the maternity situation was in fucking Gaza, and that it would have epigenetic recourse. Epigenetic meaning it was going to have a genetic effect on future generations. It was so fucking profound, it would have genetic effect on future generations of Gazans, of Palestinians living in Gaza. Palestinians in the first place. And that it was unbelievable. They fired him for it. They didn't let him give the presentation, and they fired him. They said, well, we give you a choice. You can resign or you can be fired. He resigned. And so he wrote a letter to Samantha Power. And it was a powerful letter saying, I don't want to work for a place. I didn't want to work for a company or agency anyway, where you would turn, because they're Palestinians, because they're Arabs, you would turn a blind eye to this obvious atrocity that's happening to them simply because it's being done by our ally. As I put it, glorious Israel. So, the Alex Smith story situation, you can look it up. It's fascinating. And he went on Democracy Now! And first thing he said was, I don't want this to be a story about some contractor. I want this focus on Democracy Now! Segment to be about what's happening in Gaza. And so she told his story briefly in the first 3 or 4 minutes, and then she said, you had a presentation you wanted to give. The floor is yours. which was cool of her. Oh, yeah, there's that. They're going to bring this lying piece, covetous, cowardly piece of shit to speak before Congress. But of course they are. This lying, covetous, cowardly piece of shit is going to come to speak before Congress. I wonder how many fucking Epstein files it took to make sure everybody voted in favor of that. I don't know. Now here's the video. We'll end with this. I'm not going to play any of it because it's well worth your time to watch it. I know I'm not big on, I'm not big on Kyle Kalinske and his fake fucking hair and staring at himself in the fucking monitor. I'm just not. I say that because he's always looking in the video. He's always, the camera's here. He's always looking here. He's talking here. To whatever he's doing, he's talking here. It's close. He got it as close to the camera as possible. He's talking here. Maybe this is his live stream camera, but he never responds to anybody in the videos. And maybe this is just his fucking YouTube thing, but you can clip the live stream fucking thing. So and even if you had two cameras, why wouldn't you do this occasionally? But he's always talking to this, always talking to this. He's got it as close to that camera as possible. Not quite. It's him. He's talking to himself. He's just that vainglorious. Who is his girl? Who is his... God damn it. Was she the one who was just fired? One of them was just fired. Somebody was just fired from... no, it was Brianna Joy. Is that her name? Brianna Joy? Is that a person? From The Hill. She just got fired because she talked about... she gave a monologue about apartheid state of Israel. And so they fired her. The Hill. Right. What is her fucking name? I can't remember. She destroyed fucking RFK Jr. talking about Gaza. She left him babbling. I strongly recommend you go look at it because, again, I've called out RFK Jr. for his fucking testosterone replacement therapy. He's constantly doing push-ups, and he's always got his beard wife, who clearly, she's older. She's about his age, maybe a year younger. But she's like, you can see her looking at him like, what the fuck? But she's trying to be the dutiful wife while he's doing some push-ups. Hey, give me the presidency. I can do push-ups. Because I take fucking testosterone replacement therapy. Look at how I'm cut. And of course, his wife is there, but so are about 30 fucking interns. Female interns, all in their early 20s. She lets him. It's open. She lets him. She's not taking the fucking hormones. She's a human being who's comfortable in the cycles of life, in the cycle she's at. She's not emotionally retarded and stunted like RFK Jr. is. And anybody else who does that shit, by the way. Now, there's other people have other reasons than getting laid by fucking co-eds to take hormone therapy. And that's fine. That's valid. These are valid reasons. What I'm saying is RFK Jr.'s is not. He just wants to get his dick wet. Sorry. Gross, but true. Because of his lust demons. We know this. Kyle, in the end, as good for him on this video because he gets a lot of fucking people looking at his stuff, and and I'm sure some of his people at one time were on board with the RFK Jr. thing. He might have been as well. A lot of them were like Jimmy Dore. Every time Jimmy Dore endorses somebody, turns out I don't because I've already figured it out. A couple months after they get elected, he's like, gosh darn it, I got that one wrong too. Maybe eventually people will realize Jimmy Dore isn't getting these wrong. You don't always... there's a general who was retired. He's a Jewish guy. I forget his name. And in his resignation, he said he can't bring himself to support a military that supports what Israel is doing in Gaza. He said, and it's not a quote, but he said, you can't kill 36,000 people by accident. It just can't be done. By that token, Jimmy Dore can't get so many of these fucking endorsements of his wrong by accident. It just can't be done. Just, the flipping of the coin thing and saying, who am I going to endorse? And he always fucking gets it wrong because they're always a wolf in sheep's clothing. They're always a pretend whatever, like RFK Jr. So, don't know where he was to start with. I'll tell you this is where he is now. Good. And it's good for, the left. It's good for the left. And as he points out, the three main fucking candidates, which are, who cares because elections are rigged, of the three main candidates, they're just positioning themselves. I mean, there's a video of Trump, saying, I'll do more than Biden. It was taken yesterday. And Trump's looking old. He's like, I'll do more than Biden. I'll bend over and really pull my pants down. Don't need the lube. And Biden comes out and goes, blah, just bends over and poops on himself. And then, of course, there's RFK Jr. It's pathetic. We don't have just one fucking candidate doing this. All three main candidates are doing this. We know Trump was associated with Epstein. We know RFK Jr. was associated with Epstein and Biden. As he points out, Cornel West, he's not going to get on 50% of the ballots. He's not really running. He's just, it's a vanity project. And of course, Jill Stein, who will be on at least 45, 46 ballots. Right. But of course, she can't win either. The two that can't win are free in this country to say what's obvious. The emperor has no clothes. The three who consider themselves viable candidates, the emperor's new clothes are just beautiful. So he makes a good point of that. I'm here to tell you, this will wrap up this video. I'm here to tell you, Kyle doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. He can't figure it out. He insinuates that, maybe the Epstein thing has something to do with it. And he mentions the fact that Epstein, was Mossad or had Mossad connections. He doesn't mention Ghislaine Maxwell. He doesn't mention Ghislaine Maxwell's daddy. He doesn't mention Wexler. He doesn't mention any of these fucking people. It was an intelligence operation. It wasn't. Intelligence operations have multiple fucking facets. They don't just go, we'll blackmail you, and that's it. There's all kinds of things. That's why he had so much money. That's why he had so much power. First of all, he was smart. Second of all, he knew who to fucking connect to. He was a teacher at some fucking school someplace. But over time, through connections, he empowered himself. He put himself in position to be what's called a fixer. He would get what people needed. You think, well, who was the guy in the wheelchair and fucking, smartest guy ever? And what was he doing in fucking on Epstein Island, I wonder? And oh my God, he didn't just fix that way. He got people research project money. He was smart enough to be able to read and be insightful and ask questions about projects when people were to come to him about them, he would know what they're talking about. He would know what questions to ask them. He was smart. He knew what he was fucking doing. He still knows what he's doing because he's still fucking doing it. It wasn't just, I'll get a video of someone having sex with a kid and that's what I do. There was that element of it. If that's what they wanted, he could provide it. If they wanted hookers, he could provide it. If they wanted a lifetime supply of fucking crystal meth, he could provide it. But if they wanted fucking a leg up in the world of politics, if they wanted to move up the fucking chain of command at the network like CNN or MSNBC or Fox, he could provide it. If they wanted research money into something like mRNA technology or some kind of new vaccine or some kind of fucking medical research or scientific research, he could find a way to provide it. As long as, in the end, he got some of that fucking money on the back end. And he did that all the fucking time. He was a fixer. For Mossad, probably to some degree for our intelligence services. You think they killed that motherfucker? Give me a break. Over some kids? Come on now. So, I did, to answer his question, Kyle Kalinski's question. What was the date on this one? I don't know. Shit. Where's the dates on these? May 26th. May 26th I did two. One, I did a video of this and I did the fucking article on this. And this is worth looking at. Talked about his wife, talked about Mary Richardson Kennedy, talked about, what happened there. But I also talked about this interview that he did, I believe, it was on fucking Tim Pool's show. Luke Wadowski kept asking him periodically, because he's always about those salacious details, were there any kids on those Lolita Express flights? And his response was, mine. Mine. According to him, for some reason, Jeffrey Epstein, who was damn near a billionaire in the 1990s, took him and his then wife, Richardson, and their kids on a flight down to his place down in Miami or someplace. And then later took him and his kids and no Richardson and his young children at that time on a flight to North Dakota to look for fossils. Fossils. Hey, let's take my kids to fucking North Dakota to look for fossils. Jeffrey Epstein, a dude who's doing all this shit with Mossad and CIA and all these big... Sure, okay. He's talking about this stuff. The first time Luke Wadowski mentioned... You can watch a video. The first time Luke Wadowski fucking mentions it. He's like... literally. I would love to play poker with this jackass. Then... the young, attractive, intern age woman across the fucking table gives him a break, and Tim Pool gives him a break, and they kind of let him off the hook. And he goes from this to... And now he's leaning in, talking, he's holding court. He's all open, his shoulders are back, he's looking at the woman across the table, he's being all suave. And then, I swear to God, I thought it was the funniest thing. Luke says, yeah, but were there ever any kids on those planes? And he goes, mine. He literally does that. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating at all. Mine. His shoulders come forward. He goes into a defensive position with his fucking arms. And he's... mine. He can't get it out. Go watch it. Go watch my video. They haven't taken it down yet. Someone contact Kyle and say, hey, dude, stop dyeing your hair for a few minutes. If you can take your eyes off your own fucking image on the screen, watch Scott's. He'll tell you. You want to know why RFK Jr. is doing what he's doing? That's why he's doing it. Even if you think it's a conspiracy theory to think that the powerful interests that run our country wouldn't just kill someone as influential and powerful as Jeffrey Epstein. Somebody, by the way, who had already said, I'm sure to others, if I end up fucking disappearing or if I end up fucking dying, I've already got all these files and folders. And I've got them dispersed. And you'll never figure out who they're dispersed to. But as soon as I'm disappeared, as soon as I'm fucking dead, under some strange circumstance, you're going to see them files again. All of them are going to come flooding out. And it's going to wreck your goddamn world. And you think they killed him? Are you stupid? Aside from the fact, I have a video showing him alive and well 2 weeks after he suicided on Little St. James Island, talking to his head groundskeeper after a fucking hurricane came through about the damage. And he sees the drone flying overhead. He's sitting here just like this. He's all laid back like he always does, wearing the exact same clothes, the exact same face. He looks up, sees it, and calmly slips back into his golf cart that has a canopy overhead so the camera can't see it. Why would anyone other than fucking Jeffrey Epstein do that? It's Jeffrey Epstein. There's no question. He's still alive. But even if you don't believe that, his folders are still out there. His files still out there. And if you think that he was an asset of Mossad through Ghislaine Maxwell and her husband, or her father, then yeah, that's why he's doing what he's doing. That's why he's embarrassing himself. That's why he's embarrassing himself. Okay? It's not because he believes what he's saying. He doesn't believe that in all 26 hospitals, Hamas was hiding under babies, and Israel had the only option Israel had was to bomb them. Let me tell you something else, too. He does get one thing wrong. Kyle Kulinski. Okay? He does get one thing wrong, and it's a big one. The stupid fucking RFK Jr., half a fucking tard, sorry, but he is, with a silver spoon stuck up his ass, stuck in the fucking, in a 21-year-old fucking emotional, the emotional range of a 21-year-old. He defends his position. He's blaming fucking Hamas for what Israel's doing with the genocide in the hospitals by saying, let me give you an example. Okay, you got a bank robber. And the bank robber has a hostage. I got a hostage. The cop, what are you going to do? The cop shoots him, accidentally hits the hostage. You can't blame the cop. Yeah, obviously you can. Yeah. Let's say this is the bag. This is the bag. Understand the concept. Listen to the fucking words. Understand the fucking concept I'm saying. Kyle Kulinski and anyone like him. This is the bag. He's got the bag. But to get the bag back for the bank, he's got a hostage. Pow, pow, pow. Oh, the hostage. But I got the bag back. The bag is fucking meaningless. The hostage's life is everything. That's why you don't go pow, 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 pow to get the bag. Do you understand the concept? RFK Jr. and, of course, Kyle Kulinski, who didn't disagreed with that. Apparently. He talked about bombing the whole fucking city block. Bullshit. Well, it's true, that's what they're doing, but bullshit. The concept itself, at its core, if they grab a hostage, boop, they win. That's it. There's no bag from the bank valued at the life of the hostage, unless, of course, you don't give a shit about people's lives and all you care about is the bag. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., you stupid, spoiled, murderous piece of fucking lazy shit. Who, by the way, cannot accept the fact that he's a 69-year-old man, like his wife can accept her status in life, where she's at in the cycle. Because she is balanced. She is a human. No. Shooting and killing the fucking hostage over a few dollars is not acceptable. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And if you think it is, you damn sure shouldn't be a president. In fact, you probably shouldn't even be a cop. That's the take. I don't know if Kyle didn't show whether or not the guy interviewing him had that response. Or Kyle certainly didn't. They got a hostage? Okay, they win. Out you go. We'll get you later when you don't have a hostage. That's fine. Enjoy the bag for a couple of days. We'll get it back eventually. That's how you win. That's it. That's reasonable. Not Old West. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. He had a gun. Remember that fucking shit? Was it Shane? What was it with fucking Jack Palance? He had a gun. Fucking miner's all scared, and he's got his gold. And the dude throws a gun at his feet. Pick it up. I don't want to, sir. Pick it up. Pow. You see, he had a gun. Jack Palance was awesome. Anyway, that's today's news for you. I hope you got something out of it. It's Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Have a good one. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.